Norfolk, Virginia, July 1997, a Navy town where the air feels thick even before sunrise, and the nights hum with the low vibration of ships returning to port. In a small apartment just outside the naval base, a young woman is found dead, 18 years old, newly married, her life interrupted in a way that feels both chaotic and strangely controlled. Police arrive quickly. They form a theory even faster. Within hours, they believe they know who did it. Within days, they have a confession. And within weeks, they have 4. But the confessions don't match each other. They don't match the crime scene, and they don't match the DNA.
Still, the case barrels forward. 4 sailors, young, scared, and far from home, are pulled into an investigation that grows more surreal the longer it goes on. This is a story of the Norfolk 4. This is a case where the truth was present from the beginning, but ignored.
And today, in part 1, we're going to walk through how a murder investigation spiraled into one of the most notorious false confession cases in modern American history. Hey, coworkers.
Welcome to Coworkers in Crime, the podcast where office chatter meets crime discussion.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Crystal.
Yes, we really do work together.
And yes, we're totally obsessed with true crime.
From water cooler whispers to cold case deep dives,
we're here to bring you stories that keep us chatting way past our coffee breaks.
So grab your coffee,
lock your desk drawer, and let's get into this week's case.
On July 8, 1997, Michelle Moore-Bosko's husband returned from a short deployment and found her dead in their bedroom. Michelle was 18. She'd been married just a few months. She worked at a local daycare. She was a kind of person coworkers described as gentle, quiet, sweet.
The apartment showed signs of struggle, but not the kind of disorganized violence you see in multi-attacker assaults. The scene suggested a single assailant, one person, one sequence of events, but detectives didn't see it that way.
They focused almost immediately on a neighbor, Daniel Williams, a 24-year-old sailor who lived in the same building. Police believed he had a crush on Michelle. They interpreted small, everyday interactions, helping her carry groceries, saying hello, as a sign of obsession. Okay, when you lived in apartments, how many times did people carry your groceries or open a door or say hello to you? That's not obsession.
It's really
That's
not.
That's just common courtesy.
I did have a neighbor that was obsessed with my Mastiff. He came over and borrowed him one time because he watched a movie that was a little too scary for himself. So he let my dog, or I let my dog, stay the night with him. He might have been obsessed with my dog, but I would not say that someone being like, hey, let me help with your groceries. Let me get that door for you. I can close your trunk for you. That's not obsession. No.
That's just common courtesy.
Mm-hmm. Neighborly, I would say, huh?
Neighborly. That's a good word. Yes. There was no physical evidence tying him to the crime, but investigators had a theory. And once they had it, everything else started bending to fit it.
So Williams was brought in for questioning, and what followed was an 11-hour interrogation. No lawyer, no sleep, no food, 11 hours of pressure.
Court filings show detectives used tactics that have since been widely criticized. Telling him he failed a polygraph, suggesting he'd face the death penalty, insisting they already knew he was guilty.
And Williams was young. He was scared. He was isolated. He'd never been in a serious trouble situation before. He didn't understand that he could stop the interrogation. He didn't understand that he could ask for a lawyer. Sounds like he didn't get his Miranda rights. They didn't read him his amendments.
They might have read them, but he might not have understood he could ask for them.
Well, that's very true.
At that time, I feel like, if I was alone, 24 years old, yeah, you've never been in trouble before. I can see how you sit there for 11 hours.
Yeah. And obedient.
Eventually, yeah, you're obedient. And he's in the military. So I think that plays into it as well. Yeah. Eventually, he's exhausted and terrified. And what does he do? He confesses. But the details were wrong. He says Michelle was stabbed in the living room. She wasn't. He described sexual acts that didn't match the forensic findings. He got the timeline wrong. He got the sequence wrong.
Well, still police, I'm sure, treat it as a confession of truth. So that is what gets documented.
And then Williams' DNA didn't match the crime scene. And detectives didn't reconsider their theory. They expanded on it.
Yeah. So let's introduce Joseph Dick Jr., Williams' roommate. He was interrogated for hours. He was told that Williams had already implicated him. And he was told that he'd get the death penalty if he didn't cooperate.
So he eventually confesses too, again with details that contradicted both the evidence and Williams' confession.
Then came Eric Wilson and Derek Tice. Each man confessed after long coercive interrogations. Each confession contradicted the others, and none matched the physical evidence.
But instead of seeing the contradictions as red flags, detectives treated them as puzzle pieces. They built a theory that multiple men, eventually up to 8, had participated in the crime.
This is where the case becomes more surreal. The more the evidence contradicted the theory, the more the theory decided to grow.
And this is a pattern we see in wrongful conviction cases. When evidence contradicts the theory expands instead of collapsing.
The Innocence Project has documented hundreds of false confessions, and the patterns are familiar. Long interrogations, threats of severe punishment, feeding suspects details, vulnerable personalities, and fear of the death penalty. All of those elements are present in this one.
And the Reed technique, the interrogation method used in Norfolk, has been criticized for producing false confessions, especially in young or inexperienced suspects. The sailors were all in their early 20s. They were isolated. They were terrified. And they were told that confessing was the only way to avoid execution.
And once the confession existed, the others were shaped to match it, or at least to match the parts detectives believed.
A year after the murder, the state lab got a hit. The DNA belonged to Omar Ballard, a man with a history of violent assaults.
And Ballard confessed. And unlike the sailors, his confession matched the crime scene. He described details that only the killer would know. And he said he acted alone.
And this is where you think that the path would change, but it didn't, because prosecutors didn't accept that. They insisted Ballard was part of a larger group, even though there was no evidence of multiple attackers.
And that's where we'll pick up in part 2, because the story doesn't end with the truth emerging. It just gets stranger and darker. So what's crazy about this story is it reminds me of, it really makes me feel it's a little kismet that we walked through the Miranda rights. It almost sets us up really nice for this one, because even if they're read to you, do you understand them? And I think that's probably why they have you initial each of them now when you go in through them. It's like, do you understand that you have the right to an attorney? What's your highest level of education? Like, there's a few things they have you initial as you go through. Also, the Reed technique. I've always been in the camp of, if it's done the right way, it should work the right way. But not when you've got an innocent person that you're just trying to terrify. I don't know. Maybe it's not the best thing, because this one makes me really upset with the Reed technique. As soon as we started talking about the pieces, it's like, this is Reed and I don't like it.
Yeah. Have you seen there's a show on Netflix, couple seasons, called The Confession Tapes?
Yes, actually, I have seen some
And
of that.
it's largely about false confessions.
Mm-hmm.
And how they can happen. And I mean, yes, you can be read your Miranda rights and you can know what they mean, but you're still talking to someone of authority. I'd still probably be like, what do you want to know? I'll tell you everything.
I don't know that I could make something up. I guess you don't know until you're in that situation, but I don't feel like I would make something up. I guess you can't really be sure that you would or wouldn't until you're in the situation. Do you feel you would make up stories about stabbing someone in the living room and then a sexual assault you performed on them if you didn't really do it? Like, I don't know that I could be that detailed. But I guess if I thought you were going to give me the death penalty, I guess I can tell you anything to get out of the grips of you, and then someone will save me later.
Or are they feeding little bits of the information throughout the interrogation, and now you're just trying to fill in the blanks with other information? It is. It's very sad. And it's sad that, I mean, these are 4, young men who signed up to serve the country, and then this happens to them. I mean, they're just starting their lives out. And, I know we're going to get to it in part 2 with all the confessions and the prosecution and the long fight afterwards, which baffles me.
Yeah.
Why is it such a long fight afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really unfortunate. Well,
and if we want to give another movie suggestion, since we seem to be on that kick, there was that movie that came out a few years ago called Just Mercy. It's based on a true story. A man was on death row and this lawyer did not give up on him. And if you haven't seen it, I highly, highly recommend it. You will be angry at the end because of the stats that they put up at the end, the number of wrongful convictions, particularly on death row. And you'll watch the whole movie angry. I'm sorry. I'm going to throw that out there now. You will watch the whole, you're going to watch the whole movie angry. You will get angry and then you will stay angry.
What's interesting is my daughter really has found some interest in the Innocence Project with different things that she's been watching about it. So I'm sure the stats are going to make me very angry. I would bet they'd make her even angrier because she already stands on business when it comes to talking about the Innocence Project. She already has a big bone to pick. So, okay. Well, anything we want to add, or do we want to start prepping for close down?
Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. Until next week.
I always want to leave these in. They're my favorite.
We just need a whole episode of outtakes. That's what we need. Like,
that's gonna be a bonus episode when they have nothing but our outtakes. You slip up on a word or something doesn't come out right. I notice it when I'm editing sometimes. I tried to say yogurt shop murders in our last one, and I said murder shop murders. I had to take the whole
I didn't even catch that.
I didn't either. I even looked at it like 3 times and I was like, how did neither of us realize that I didn't say? And I just saw an article yesterday that they were released. So I was like, oh, I just talked about that. And then I go look, I'm like, no, I talked about the murder shop murders. That's so silly, but I didn't even catch myself.
But I heard yogurt shop murders. So that's what's even funnier. Because I was like, yeah, I remember you talking about that.
No, I said murder shop murders and had to take the whole idea out of what we were talking about. And it fit so well with what we were discussing. Had to take it out. And if I put all of those little moments together, yeah, we'd have a 3-hour bloopers reel because of just the things that we say that just put us in a tizzy. So,
well, our first attempt at, trying to do an intro and an outro, those were hilarious.
Those are a lot of fun. That one is fun. I have to go back and find that video because I think I actually clipped it up as a video for us. I think
you did.
It was very funny. Yeah, that should go out.
All right. So until next time, coworkers.
See you next time. That wraps up this week's episode.
Thanks for listening, whether you're at your office, at your home, or somewhere in between. We're glad you're here.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Like what you heard, leave us a review and share it with your coworkers.
Got a case you want us to cover or office drama that feels criminal? Send it to us at coworkers.crimepodcast@gmail.com or check the episode notes for all of our social handles. Until next time, coworkers.
Stay curious, stay safe, and stay caffeinated.